this is the correct way to do it. I keep doing this wrong. So here is my notes. There's 4 weepings. 2 of those weepings are technically in the same place because one is at the top of the Mount of Olives, one is at the bottom, from what I gather. And as you can see in Ezekiel 38, there's a tectonic plate that's right there in the Mount of Olives where it kind of divides in the middle, and which is interesting because it also says that he'll put his foot on one part of the mountain and his foot on the other part, and right down the center, the mountain will flee from north to south, meaning it'll separate in that fashion. If you go look at it, you can totally see. I'll post it somewhere. And it turns out the Mount of Olives is actually a Jewish cemetery. And there was the 2 weepings here too. So in Lazarus' tomb, he wept, and there was an earthquake when he rose from the dead. So when Lazarus rose from the dead, he wept, and when he rose from the dead, there was an earthquake. On the cross, which matches Zechariah 14, the holy ones appear before the other people in the city, which matches Matthew 27. So these 2 things, the tomb and him on the cross, actually match. Because, does it match? No. There are 2 different earthquakes. There's one where he is on the cross, because that's a different location than the tomb. And even though I know Lazarus was risen at a different place than he was, it's still an earthquake at a tomb, and he happened to weep there. But this is definitely connected because he's at the top of the Mount of Olives, from what I gather, and here he's at the bottom, weeping right before he's arrested. So he's in the same place where there's a fault line. He is weeping, and so this 3rd earthquake situation actually is in the same place of these 2 events of the weepings. The name Ezekiel means the strength of God. The name Lazarus is God will help. That's what it means. And then Zechariah means the Lord remembers. Matthew means gift of God. So in the Valley of Kedron, it happens to be the road that leads to the Mount of Olives and is on the Mount of Olives. This Revelation 13 or 11:13 and Revelation 16:18. If you layer the events on top of each other, you can kind of see they all match in some way. And I have no idea what the heck that means. I try not to touch the book of Revelation because I have too wild of an imagination. And so this is at the foot of the Mount of Olives where he had his agony moment. He had this where he's entering. Oh, yes, that's right. Kedron means sadness, the valley of sadness, the valley of obscurity, or the valley of black. That's where he wept. Maybe this got its name from him or something. I really don't know. But that's a Jewish cemetery. And it's interesting because there are olive trees there in the Mount of Olives, which makes sense. It's, But when you crush olives, oil comes out. So when you're crushed or your heart is hardened, or I guess when bad things happen, that's when God really sees what you're made of and what kind of faith you have deep inside you. So that's interesting that's happening there. Other than that, outside of my horrible handwriting and bad spelling, these are the trees. And I might make a video out of this. I'm a little self-conscious about the location. And so, other than that, because I don't really know. See, I looked here and I don't really see like mountains. So I really don't understand. It seems like Israel has very dynamic landscape. Like it drastically changes. Tennessee kind of has that where it can go from really mountainous to a kind of not so mountainous. I don't understand really. But anyway, this is Linda of Christ is King Forever. May God be with you.